Chapter 1633. Then don't hang up. I'll remind you at any time. Feng Xiaoxiao spoke in a serious manner, concealing her pure desire to listen to gossip. Ningxi thought about it and decided that it wasn't a big deal. She would let them know how difficult it was to deal with this guy. She had tried her best. So Ningxi didn't hang up and sat back down. Before I answer you, can you answer a question for me? Why are you staying inside? Ningxi asked. The corners of the man's mouth curled into a sneer. I'll let you see how sanctimonious the gentleman in your heart is. Hearing this, Ningxi frowned. Did he mean that Lu Tingxiao was the one who did it? Let's not talk about who did it. Even if it was Lu Tingxiao's men who did it, you're on opposite sides now. You've been giving Lu Corporation a lot of trouble, haven't you? Ningxi said. The man's expression didn't change at all. Instead, he said matter-of-factly, so what? I'm not a good person, but I've never hidden anything from you. Ningxi, what a twisted logic. Sure enough, she couldn't communicate with him at all. Annie's worried face appeared in Ningxi's mind, so she resisted the urge and continued to persuade. We are all very worried about you. If it's because of this reason, it's really unnecessary. Okay, now I know. I know he's a hypocrite. Is that okay? Feng Xiaoxiao was anxious on the other end of the line. Ah, junior sister, you can't do this. Everything he said just now was just an excuse. Only what I said to you is the only correct answer. Not a single word more or less. Ningxi was speechless. She couldn't really let her say that, could she? You've used up your chance. With that, the man got up and left. Hey, you. Just as Ningxi was about to call out to him. She didn't know if it was because she got up too quickly, but she suddenly blacked out and felt a wave of dizziness. She tried to stabilize her body, but suddenly lost consciousness. Plop, a strange sound came from behind. The man, who was walking halfway, subconsciously turned around and saw the girl behind him fainting on the ground without any warning. Ningxi! The man instantly rushed back. His originally lazy and cold expression turned into panic. Damn it! Don't play tricks. The girl lay motionless on the ground, and her face was abnormally pale. Her brows were tightly furrowed, and her breathing was somewhat rapid. What's going on? What's going on? What happened to little junior sister? Feng Xiaoxiao's anxious voice came from the phone beside Ningxi. What's going on? Tang Yi asked. At this moment, the man's expression was extremely ugly. He approached the glass window and roared angrily. Tang Yi, get me out of here. Tang Yi. Feng Xiaoxiao. Tang Yi rushed over with his lawyer. In less than 5 minutes, the man was released, and he was respectfully invited out. Where is he? The man asked with a cold face as soon as he came out. After Ningxi fainted, she was helped out by the staff of the police station. In the car, Tang Yi replied. She's in the car. Don't worry, Annie's here. Feng Xiaoxiao said. A moment ago, the man who looked like he was going to burn through the police station was now walking out of the door at lightning speed. Chapter 1634. In the spacious back seat of the SUV. Annie was taking care of Ningxi, who was in a coma. Suddenly, the car door was pulled open from the outside and the man got into the car with a dark expression. He frowned and stared at the girl who was lying on the back of the seat. What happened? Annie glanced at the man carefully, then deliberated over her words before she said, I just checked Brother Shi's pulse. Brother Shi suddenly fainted because he was overwhelmed with emotions and energy. At this time, Tang Yi and Feng Xiaoxiao also came in. Feng Xiaoxiao craned her neck from the front passenger seat and looked horrified. Holy crap! Agitated emotions. Exhausted. Boss, what did you do to junior sister just now? It had only been a few minutes, yet he was able to turn his valiant junior sister into such a state. Wasn't he a little too savage? The man stared at the girl's pale face and recalled what had happened in the police station. He pursed his lips and glared at Feng Xiaoxiao. Shut up. Is she that fragile? Feng Xiaoxiao thought for a while and nodded. That's true. If she was really that fragile, she would have been driven mad by you 100 times. What happened then? What caused Junior Sister's mood to fluctuate so much? The car fell silent for a while, and then Tang Yi said, "Maybe it's because of the audition this morning." Annie thought for a while and said, "Brother, she told me last night that she was going to attend an audition this morning. Apart from that, she didn't say anything else. After the audition, brother, she came here immediately, so that was the only possibility." "Show me the recording of her audition," Yun Shun said in a deep voice. Feng Xiaoxiao's mouth twitched. "Boss, that's not appropriate." Yun Shin glared at her coldly. "Are you that free? Have you completed the S-level mission?" Feng Xiaoxiao looked as if she had just eaten shit. "Haha, I'm leaving now. I'll go, okay." 3 years ago, her master had given her an S-level mission to assassinate an important person. But that guy was too tricky. She hadn't found a chance to kill him for 3 whole years. 3 whole years. To her, this was simply a humiliation. Damn it. When that guy fell into her hands, she would definitely fuck him first before killing him. Ever since Feng Xiaoxiao was humiliated and fled, Tang Yi had always been obedient to Yunshin's words. In the end, he even managed to get his hands on the recording from the morning. "Tang Yi, I've already sent it to your phone." Yunshin put on his headphones and clicked on the video. She didn't know what he saw, but his face darkened. Halfway through, he threw his phone aside and stared at the girl lying on the car seat beside him. His slender fingers pinched the girl's delicate jaw. Idiot! Seeing that the man's fingers were squeezing harder and harder and Ning Shi's chin was pinched red, Annie immediately looked nervous. "Shin, brother Shin, shall I send brother Shi back to rest?" The man looked at her coldly. "Go to my place," Annie said timidly, "but, brother Shin, you're too scary. Brother Shi will be scared. She can't take the shock right now. She needs a good rest." The man's face was so scary that Annie's voice became softer and softer. In the end, how could a certain person, who had always acted in an arbitrary manner, listen to anyone's opinion? In the end, he still brought Ning Shi to the haunted house. Chapter 1635. "I want you to clean up this place in 2 hours." After saying this, the man closed the door of the master bedroom with a bang. Annie looked at the closed door, her face full of worry and self-blame. Brother Shi will be fine, right? After all, she was the one who asked Brother Shi for help. "If anything happened to Brother Shi," Tang Yi said, "it's fine. I'll keep an eye on him." Annie felt a little relieved. "I'll get going then. Let me know if there's anything." Brother Shin cared about Brother Shi a lot. He was so nervous when he saw Brother Shi fainting. Although he didn't care about Brother Shi's fear, he still insisted on bringing Brother Shi here. He even asked her to clean up the haunted house. In the master bedroom, the girl was sleeping soundly on the big soft bed. The man stood by the bed and looked at the girl's sleeping face quietly. He seemed to be lost in some distant memory. When he first met her, she was being bullied by a group of scumbags. Those people were notorious local gangsters who loved to play with Chinese girls who had no background and no trouble. Almost all of them had taken human lives and were fearless because of the gangs behind them. If they were targeted by that group of people, even if they didn't die, they would be ruined. After seeing the girl's face clearly, he immediately understood why she was targeted. Although the girl looked down on, she had a beautiful face. Especially her delicate appearance. It made those people even more addicted to her. He wasn't bored enough to care about this kind of thing. He continued to stay on the balcony and looked at the one-sided killing coldly as if he was looking at an ant. However, he did not expect that the following plot would unexpectedly exceed his expectations. The moment those people approached, the girl pulled out a gun from behind her. Guns were legal in China, so it wasn't surprising that she had a gun. TSK, she was obviously a newbie. It was her first time holding a gun. Her hands were shaking and her eyes were full of fear. It was just a meaningless and ridiculous struggle. He knew these people too well. They were weak and insignificant. Even if they had a butcher's knife in their hands, it would be useless. She didn't dare to shoot. In the end, just as he had expected, it became a one-sided massacre. But it was the girl who killed those scumbags. With a bang, The bullet hit the center of the eyebrow of the gangster, who was laughing the most wildly and unscrupulously. It accurately hit the vital point and killed him with one shot. Bang! Another shot was fired, and another gangster fell to the ground, still in the same position. The person he was sure wouldn't dare to shoot actually fired 2 shots in an instant. The girl's body was trembling like a sieve. Her whole body was drenched in sweat as if she had just been fished out of the water. Her eyes were wide open and filled with fear, but she was terrifyingly calm when she fired the gun. It was obviously her first time firing a gun, but she could actually kill with a single shot. If it was just an ordinary person, even if it was an animal, he might not necessarily dare to shoot, let alone a living person. What an interesting child. Unfortunately, the gunshot had attracted the accomplices of that group of people. She would still die tonight. In her sleep, she had a very, very long dream. She dreamed of everything that happened after she returned to the Ning family. She dreamed of the car accident, dreamed of the child's bruised body, and even dreamed of the time when she almost lost her life in Luoyang City. She dreamed that she killed someone. She dreamed that she was surrounded by a group of vicious people and had nowhere to retreat. A white-haired man descended from the sky and landed in front of her, saying to her, "I saved you. From now on, you are mine." Chapter 1636. She was such a weak person, however. From the moment she fired the gun to the time he brought her back to the organization, she had surprised him time and time again. She was like a weed at the bottom of the hierarchy, but she had the most tenacious vitality. She absorbed everything around her and grew crazily. Perhaps his life was too boring. For many years after that, she had unknowingly become his only source of joy, the only uncertain factor outside of his fate. He didn't know when it started, but when he saw those girls clinging to her and giggling coquettishly, he would feel a sense of viciousness. When he learned that she had the intention to return to the country, he couldn't control his viciousness anymore. He went back on his promise with her and refused to let her go. He even made such a request, even though he knew he couldn't keep her. He should have gotten used to it. Everything he cared about would eventually be lost. "Brother Yi, I've asked someone to prepare everything." "Brother Shin, isn't he out yet?" Annie stood at the door worriedly. The two had been inside for almost 2 hours. It was very quiet inside, but it did seem to be eerily quiet. Tang Yi frowned, turned around and knocked on the door gently. There was no response. He knocked again, but there was still no response. Tang Ye's expression changed and he pushed the door open decisively. Annie followed behind him anxiously. The two pushed the door open with solemn expressions. The next second, they were stunned. She breathed deeply as she lay on the bed, sleeping soundly. As for Yunshin, he was lying on the edge of the bed, quietly closing his eyes. From the looks of it, he seemed to be asleep in his sleep. The man's fingers seemed to be unconsciously grabbing a corner of Ningxi's clothes. "Brother Shin," Annie murmured in surprise. Tang Yi looked at the man sleeping quietly and sighed softly. "Let him sleep for a while." Annie fell silent and nodded. Ever since he came back from the Lu family's family meeting, Brother Shin hasn't slept much. Oh my God, my dog eyes. I actually feel that this scene is quite heartwarming and beautiful. Feng Xiaoxiao came back out of nowhere. She rested her head on Annie's shoulder and looked at the scene with an expression as if she had seen a ghost. "Shoo! Don't wake them up." After closing the door, Feng Xiaoxiao stood at the door with a horrified expression. "I thought he would go crazy again after bringing little junior sister back. He might as well go crazy. It's too scary." "Brother Shin isn't that scary," Annie mumbled. Feng Xiaoxiao glanced at Annie and curled her lips. If it wasn't for his brain, he would have taken care of junior sister long ago, all right? For whole years. How many chances did he have? And it was such a dreamy story of a hero saving a beauty. How old was little junior sister back then? It was the easiest time to be seduced. Such a good deck of cards was beaten by him like this. I am also drunk. Now it's too late for regrets. Feng Xiaoxiao continued to complain, but Tang Yi remained silent. He had grown up with that person. That person just didn't know how to express his feelings, nor did he know how to treat someone well, or perhaps he subconsciously resisted giving too much to someone and never revealed his true self to anyone. Probably because of the great emotional consumption, she slept soundly. When she woke up, she suddenly saw an enlarged, sleeping face in her daze. She was so scared that she immediately woke up. She subconsciously shrank back, only to find that her sleeve was tightly gripped in that person's palm. Chapter 1637. She subconsciously looked at the corner of her clothes that was being grabbed by the man and looked a little confused. The arrogant and lazy disguise on the man's face had disappeared, and his face looked a little childish. She did not know what he was dreaming about, but his brows were tightly furrowed. He looked like he was in great pain, and the knuckles of his fingers that were gripping the corner of her clothes were starting to turn white from the excessive force. His complexion was so unsightly. Could he be sick? She looked at the thin layer of sweat on his forehead and subconsciously reached out to touch it. However, the man grabbed her hand tightly, like a drowning man grabbing the last piece of driftwood. She frowned and was about to withdraw her hand when she heard the man murmur in a daze, "Mom?" She was stunned. Mom? Had she heard it wrong? Mom? Yunshin murmured again, this time in a hurry and panic, and his voice was very clear. He was really calling her Mom. She was lost in thought. What was Yunshin dreaming about? Why was he in so much pain when he dreamed about his mother? The man was still immersed in the nightmare. He looked more and more miserable, and even his body began to twitch slightly. She quickly reached out to push him. "Hey, wake up, Yunshin! Yunshin!" With a swish, the man suddenly opened his eyes. The next second, Ningxi's throat was strangled by a hand, and she couldn't make a sound. Yunshin's eyes were extremely terrifying at this moment. They were cold and gloomy, and his gaze was enough to suffocate her. 1 second, 2 seconds passed. He finally saw clearly who was looking at him. He finally stopped strangling her, but his face was still very pale. "Who allowed you to be here?" She wanted to comfort him when she saw that he was having a nightmare, but she was speechless. "How would I know? I remember that I fainted at the police station, right? Didn't you bring me here?" "Don't flatter yourself." The man denied without hesitation. She scratched her head. Was it really not him? Then who brought her here? Could it be Feng Jin again like last time? That shouldn't be the case. Eldest senior brother, third senior sister, and the others were all there. She didn't think too much about it. She mumbled, "You had a nightmare just now. I was kind enough to wake you up, but you almost strangled me to death. What did you see?" The man stared at her as if he were looking at a peeping Tom. She was speechless under his stare. "What can I see? What's so interesting about your nightmares? I just heard you call Mom." The man's expression became even colder, and there was a trace of anger hidden in the depths of his eyes. "Get out." "Me too. Let go of my clothes first." Yunshin's face stiffened. He waved away the cloth in his hand, and his face was full of disgust as if she had forced her clothes into his hand. She muttered as she left. Tang Yi, Feng Xiaoxiao and Annie were all at the door. When they saw Shi, they immediately went up to her. "Brother Shi, you're awake. Junior sister, are you all right? Did that guy do anything to you?" Shi shook her head. "No." Feng Xiaoxiao's face darkened when she heard this. She sighed as if she had expected better from Yi Chun. "By the way, why am I here and lying on that guy's bed?" Shi asked in confusion. Feng Xiaoxiao blurted out. "That guy insisted on bringing you back. He even carried you to the bed." Shi. Chapter 1638. That guy insisted on bringing you back. He even carried you to the bed. Feng Xiaoxiao betrayed her without hesitation. Shi was speechless. Was that guy schizophrenic? Otherwise, his ability to lie through his teeth and accuse others was too good. Fuck. He chased me away the moment he woke up and even asked why I was here. She couldn't help complaining. Feng Xiaoxiao facepalmed. "Boss, you're going to be single. But junior sister, didn't you attend an audition in the morning? Why did you make yourself faint? Annie said that you were too emotional and that it was caused by overexertion. Even if it's an action scene, there's no need for that, right? Ning, she coughed. Sometimes this happens when I'm too immersed in my character. It's mainly because I've been too tired recently. Feng Xiaoxiao didn't suspect anything. Boss even insisted on checking the recording of your audition. Ning Shi's heart skipped a beat. What did he say? Feng Xiaoxiao shrugged. I don't know. I just said that it wasn't good for him to do that and he beat me out of the car. Ning Shi looked at Annie with an inquiring gaze. Annie looked a little troubled, but she couldn't reject Ning Shi's question. She said awkwardly, Boss didn't say anything. He just said 2 words. Ning Shi, 2 words? What 2 words? Annie, stupid idiot, Ning Shi. At this moment, Feng Xiaoxiao's phone rang. It was a certain someone. Send her back. The man's cold voice came from the phone. Feng Xiaoxiao's eyes lit up. She was finally enlightened. Just as she was about to kindly matchmake the 2 of them and tell her junior sister that there were times when this fellow was still normal, an even colder voice came from the other end of the phone. If you dare to say another word, I'll break your legs. Feng Xiaoxiao. All right. She gave up on treating her boss. In the end, Feng Xiaoxiao didn't say anything. Junior sister, your car is still parked at the police station. I'll send you back. Ning Shi nodded and didn't refuse. It was true that they couldn't take a taxi back to this damn place. Ning Shi had just woken up and was still in a daze. However, when she followed Feng Xiaoxiao downstairs and saw the layout of the villa, she was dumbfounded. What the hell? Am I dreaming? Or am I in the wrong place? The originally eerie haunted house had been transformed into a brand new one. The creepy oil paintings on the walls had been replaced with fresh, modern paintings. The dark-colored wooden furniture had all been replaced. Fresh flowers were placed on the table, and the eerie white gauze window had been replaced with dreamy lace. The haunted house suddenly became the princess's castle. What happened during this period of time? Why did this guy's taste suddenly become so heavy? Feng Xiaoxiao looked at her junior sister's oblivious expression, but she couldn't explain that it was all because of her. She was about to suffocate to death. Upstairs, by the window of the master bedroom, the man lit a cigarette and watched the girl leave with a secretive expression. The scene from the audition video that morning appeared in his mind. Idiot. I hope you won't regret it after knowing the truth. Chapter 1639. As soon as Ning Shi got home, she received a call from Lin Jiji. She had signed the contract with the crew. She had finally gotten the role. Jiang Xini had been too impatient and ignored the crew's warning to not divulge anything related to the audition. As soon as she got the news that she had passed the audition, she had secretly leaked it to the media. Now that she had been replaced, it caused quite a commotion and led the internet water army to spread all kinds of conspiracy theories. Although Ning Shi had just won the Golden Palm Award for Best Actress, she was still not as experienced and famous as Jiang Xini, who had been in the entertainment industry for more than 10 years. Now that Jiang Xini had been chosen, the crew had held a second audition. If Jiang Xini got the role through the second audition, people could not help but wonder. However, because the director was Zhang Xingzhou, who had a very good character and reputation in the entertainment industry, the majority of the people believed that the crew would vote for the audition. On the contrary, many people were looking forward to the sparks between the famous director, who kept creating miracles, and the young best actress, and what kind of surprise they would bring to the audience. Apart from the small disturbance before the start of filming, the crew kept a low profile throughout the whole process. They were all filmed in a small village, and there were no related reports. In order to achieve better results, the entire crew lived in the village, working, eating, and living with the villagers. Everyone was worried that a delicate girl like Ning Shi would not be able to handle such a life. But to their surprise, she adapted very well, did all kinds of farm work well, and was even able to help teach the rest of the crew. Zhang Xingzhou would not choose someone randomly. He had studied Ning Shi's background in detail and knew that she had lived in the countryside for 18 years. Even though he had always been strict, he was very satisfied with Ning Shi's performance. This girl is not bad. She's good material. As long as she doesn't go astray, she may surpass you in the future. Hearing Jiang Xingzhou's high praise, Song Lin did not mind at all. Instead, she looked in Ning Shi's direction and said with a smile, I never doubted that. Just then, Song Lin's phone rang with a ding. Song Lin picked up her phone and glanced at it. The next second, her expression suddenly changed. Following that, Jiang Xingzhou's phone also rang. Jiang Xingzhou picked up his phone and glanced at it. His face revealed the same astonishment as Song Lin's. Following that, his face was instantly filled with rage. Song Lin caught a glimpse of Jiang Xingzhou's phone screen from the corner of her eye. Seeing that he had seen it too, she hurriedly tried to calm him down. Director Jiang, before we get to the bottom of things, please calm down. After all, Jiang Xingzhou had been through a lot, so he forced himself to endure it. Let's finish filming this scene first. Don't affect her mood. Thank you, director. Song Lin said gratefully with a hint of worry on her face. At this moment, Ning Shi still had no idea what was happening in the outside world. During this period of time, in order to focus on filming, she almost didn't pay attention to what was happening in the outside world. It wasn't until the scene was finished in the evening that Ning Shi relaxed and found that the crew members around her were behaving strangely. They looked at their mobile phones in groups of 3 or 4 and peeked at her, whispering to each other. Ning Shi frowned and walked towards Xiao Tao. He saw that Xiao Tao was anxiously talking to someone on the phone. Xiao Tao? Ah, brother Shi. Xiao Tao hung up the phone and looked at Ning Shi in panic. What happened? Ning Shi looked at Xiao Tao and asked. Chapter 1640. Xiao Tao bit her lip and looked embarrassed. She couldn't speak for a long time. Give me my phone. Ning Shi reached out her hand. Xiao Tao hesitated for a moment. Thinking that she couldn't hide it, she finally gave Ning Shi's phone to her. As soon as Ning Shi unlocked the phone, she saw the latest entertainment news. The eye-catching headline came into her sight. Golden Brown movie queen Ning Shi sleeps with men. Ning Shi frowned slightly. Since her debut, there had been such pure gossip. However, after Lin Jiji sued a magazine to warn others, and Shengshe Entertainment's influence in the entertainment circle was so great that even the unknown and irresponsible small press dared not make such baseless reports. But this time, the news that popped up on her phone turned out to be from a very influential media in the industry. And the unusual reaction of the staff and even Xiao Tao. Ning Shi clicked on the page and her pupils suddenly contracted. As soon as she clicked on it, she saw all kinds of unsightly photos. Even though they were mosaic, she could still see the lewd poses of a man and a woman in the photos. What shocked her was not the photos, but the face of the woman in the photos. It was her. Was it photoshopped? But it didn't look like it. Ning Shi continued to scroll down and saw another video. The video had been mosaic, but the faces of the man and the woman in the video were very clear. That woman was still her. Obviously, this video completely broke the possibility of photoshopping. The photos were real. According to the description in the news, the man in the video was a famous playboy from a rich family in this city. Brother Shi, stop watching, Xiao Tao said nervously, as if she was afraid that Ning Shi would be irritated. Ning Shi pinched between her eyebrows and looked helpless. Even Xiao Tao thought that the woman in these photos was her, not to mention others. This was really tricky. Ning Shi couldn't help recalling that the fake gun had been replaced with a real one on the set of Agents of the Thunderbolts. Even Lu Tingxiao hadn't found out who did it. And now this kind of thing happened again. Did the other party want to destroy her because they couldn't kill her? Or this had nothing to do with the last incident, and it was done by someone else? She had really made a lot of enemies recently. Ning Shi. The director wants you to go there. Ning Shi was lost in thought. At this time, the director's assistant hurried over and looked at Ning Shi ambiguously. Got it. Thank you. Ning Shi didn't explain to Xiao Tao immediately. She went to the director first. Inside the house, Jiang Xingzhou and Song Lin were both present. The atmosphere was very heavy. Do you know what happened? Jiang Xingzhou's expression was solemn, and he went straight to the point. Ning Shi nodded and didn't look guilty at all. She said frankly, "Director Jiang, the woman in the video and photos is not me. I'm very sorry for bringing trouble to the crew. I'll contact my agent to resolve this matter as soon as possible so that it won't affect the filming process." If Ningxi made such a scandal at this time, according to the contract, her image would be damaged because of personal reasons, and she would have to pay a huge sum of liquidated damages. What was more important was that all the efforts of the crew during this period would be in vain. If they recast her, she would not be able to make it to the film festival. It was even possible that her entire career in the entertainment industry would be ruined because of this incident. Chapter 1641. Song Lin broke the solemn atmosphere. "Director Jiang, did you hear that? I told you it couldn't be Xiaoxi. The woman in the video only looks like Xiaoxi. She doesn't have any of Xiaoxi's charm. Her expression is stiff and her figure is obviously not as good as Xiaoxi's. Xiaoxi's waist, legs, and chest are well proportioned, and her body fat percentage is perfect. Not a bit more, not a bit less. She's perfect. But the woman in the video is soft, her legs are too short, and her chest. Ahem." Jiang Xingzhou coughed. Song Lin chuckled and said innocently, "Director Jiang, I'm just stating the facts." Even Ningxi was speechless. It was rare for her to feel embarrassed. "Goddess, are you so observant?" She didn't expect that the goddess would pay so much attention to her and give her such a high evaluation. Speaking of figure and face, Song Lin was the one with the real charm, and her figure was still perfectly maintained at her age. "Alright, it's fine as long as it's not you. I hope you can handle this matter well. If it affects the crew in any way, I won't help you," Jiang Xingzhou said with a dark face. Although Jiang Xingzhou's tones sounded very unreasonable, in reality, his attitude had already indicated that he was on her side. After all, he had chosen to believe in her. "Yes, I understand. Thank you, Director," Ningxi said gratefully. As soon as she left Director Zhang's office, Ningxi saw Lin Zhizhi waiting outside the door. It seemed that she had come as soon as possible. "Sister Zhizhi, why are you here? I was just about to go back." "No, I don't want to disturb your filming." Ningxi paused. Did Sister Zhizhi mean, "Let's go and discuss how to clarify this matter," Lin Zhizhi said. Ningxi swallowed her words and blinked. "Sister Zhizhi, how do you know it's not me?" Lin Zhizhi said. "You don't have bad taste." Ningxi coughed and coughed. She suddenly remembered that she had told Lin Zhizhi arrogantly that the only man she liked in the entire circle was their boss, Lu Tingxiao. She had just blurted it out. She hadn't expected Lin Zhizhi to remember it. In the room, Xiao Tao had watched the video hundreds of times and her eyes were almost popping out. "Holy shit! I knew it! Even if my brother Shi wants to choose a man, he should at least choose someone like second young Master Lu." It turned out that it wasn't brother Shi at all. But this was too similar. He's exactly the same as brother Shi. It was indeed very similar. If it wasn't someone who knew Ningxi very well, they would definitely think that that person was Ningxi. After all, even Xiao Tao, who was so familiar with her, didn't recognize her. This was also the trickiest part of the matter. No one would believe her if she said that the person in the video wasn't her without any evidence to prove her innocence. One possibility is that this person was born to look like you, but this possibility is extremely small. Another possibility is that this person deliberately had plastic surgery to look like you. However, the recovery period for plastic surgery is at most a year and a half, or at least 2 to 3 months. Not to mention, to do it to this extent, the time is definitely not short. This means that this person has been planning to scheme against you since a long time ago. Lin Zhizhi analyzed. Xiao Tao was dumbfounded. Took her a long time to recover. This is too scary. Chapter 1642. Lin Zhizhi frowned. "Your fans are all defending you now. It's not like before, when a fake photo was enough to ruin a female star. As long as it doesn't involve moral issues like being a third party, it can only be regarded as a malicious exposure of your privacy. It will definitely affect your image, but it won't ruin you," But the problem is that the other party is obviously prepared. It's not as simple as releasing a video. She twitched the corner of her mouth. It wasn't easy for me to get plastic surgery, and I've waited for so long. How can I be satisfied if I don't do something big? Perhaps this video was just foreplay. The three of them unknowingly discussed until late at night. Sure enough, it came faster than they expected. When it was close to midnight, Xiao Tao, who was constantly refreshing the latest news, suddenly exclaimed, "Brother Shi, Sister Gigi, there's a new video." Ning Shi and Lin Gigi craned their necks to take a look. Sure enough, they saw a new video, and the content of the video was even more shocking. The woman was with 3 men at the same time, and 2 of them were married. Now the only possibility of clearing her name was gone. Lin Gigi's face darkened. Now the only way to prove your innocence is to find that woman as soon as possible. But the other party is prepared. They won't let us find them so easily. If we can't clear up everything in an effective time, once too much time passes, the fake will become the truth. By then, it would be over for them. Even the company's public relations team will find a premeditated person like finding a needle in a haystack. Then, can we ask the head office for help? Xiao Tao asked in a panic. Lin Zhizhi smiled bitterly. Of course not. Lu Enterprises is in a tense situation recently. Even the second young master has been transferred back to the head office. Shengshi Entertainment is just one of the countless branches of Lu Enterprises. It's impossible to alarm the head office because of an artist. She stroked her phone and thought to herself, it was not easy to find that person, but it was not impossible. As long as she used her previous connections, but she didn't want to use them unless it was absolutely necessary. But the current situation didn't allow her to think so much. Big sister Gigi, don't worry. I made some contacts back in China. They might be able to help. Before she finished her words, at this moment, the door of the cabin was suddenly pushed open from the outside. A slender figure, who was travel-worn but still handsome, appeared at the door. Because the people of this village were simple and honest, there were no locks on the doors. The person who came seemed to have just come down from a formal occasion. He was dressed in a meticulous black suit. His shirt was buttoned to the first button, and his tie was well ironed. His face carried the murderous aura of a superior person, a beau. She was about to call him boss, but she was suddenly pulled by a long arm. She fell into a cold embrace, and then she felt a warm and soft touch on her forehead. Ningxi's brain stopped working, and she was dumbfounded. Fuck! What's going on? My dear boss, my dear sweetheart. Big sister Gigi and Xiao Tao are still here. Chapter 1643. She subconsciously reached out to touch her forehead where he had just kissed her. She stared at her boss, Lin Zhizhi, and her assistant, Xiao Tao. Okay. The 2 of them had already turned into stone statues. Even someone as calm as Lin Zhizhi was completely frozen, not to mention Xiao Tao. Her expression could be compared to the horrified expression in the famous painting, The Scream. She had wanted to put up a last-ditch struggle, but in the end, the great demon king leaned over and kissed the corner of her lips with his warm lips. Ningxi, sweetheart, there's someone else in this room. Hey, there's someone else. She didn't know if it was an illusion, but she somehow felt that Lu Tingxiao's current state was a bit unusual. What was going on? To prevent the demon king from doing something unpredictable, She hurriedly diverted his attention. Why are you here? Lu Tingxiao said, if I didn't come, would you forget that you have a boyfriend? His tone was so sad. He must have heard what she had just said. She knew he was busy because she didn't want him to be distracted. She subconsciously glanced at Xiao Tao and Lin Zhizhi again. Needless to say, with the devil's boyfriend, these 2 people's worldviews were obviously shattered into powder and then reorganized. Xiao Tao finally couldn't take it anymore and couldn't help but scream. She quickly covered her mouth to avoid alarming others. After all, the soundproofing here wasn't very good. Oh my God! Oh my God! What did she see? What did she hear? Was she dreaming? She must be dreaming. She saw Big Boss hugging Big Brother She and kissing Big Brother She. She even heard the Big Boss say that he was Brother She's boyfriend, the Big Boss's girlfriend, who was so mysterious that she was known as the #1 unsolved mystery in the entertainment industry. Their future lady boss had actually been by her side all this time. It was her brother She. Poor Xiao Tao was so shocked by this news that she was torn to pieces. Lin Jiji took a deep breath and used all the calmness she had since entering the industry to calm down. She looked at the Big Boss, who was like a god in the middle of the night. "Boss Lu, you, alright? I can't calm down at all." Ning Shi looked at Lu Tingxiao and Lin Jiji with a headache. Her relationship with Lu Tingxiao had been exposed so suddenly that she didn't know how to explain it to Lin Jiji. Took Ning Shi a long while to recover. She braced herself and said, "Sister Jiji, I'm sorry. You told me from the beginning that I couldn't be in a relationship. I broke my promise to you." Lin Jiji didn't know how to reply. The main point now was obviously not the fact that she was dating in private, but the person she was dating was actually. At this moment, Lin Jiji recalled everything that had happened since she took over Ningxi, from Lu Jingli personally inviting her, to Lu Group's top lawyer Qin Jing personally handling the contract dispute between Ningxi and Xing Hui, to the dance at the company's anniversary celebration. Now that he thought about it, it wasn't like there were no clues. It was just that this girl was so good at hiding it. If Lu Tingxiao hadn't deliberately exposed himself today, she wouldn't have found out at all. Chapter 1644. Lin Jiji really couldn't blame Ningxi. This girl had even deceived her. She had been dating Lu Tingxiao for at least half a year, but it didn't affect her work at all. She had never even taken advantage of her relationship with Lu Tingxiao. "Miss Lin, thank you for taking care of CC during this period." Lin Jiji came to herself and hurriedly said, "President Lu, you're welcome. It's my responsibility. As for my relationship with Xiaoxi, I will respect her opinion and will not affect her work. I promised her from the beginning that I would not interfere in any of her work matters." Lu Tingxiao suddenly changed the subject. "But this time it started because of me, so I will deal with it. I hope you can understand." Ning Shi looked at Lu Tingxiao in surprise. This time it started because of him? What did he mean? Lin Jiji was also a little suspicious, but she didn't ask much. She breathed a sigh of relief and said, "This time it's really tricky. I'm also worried about it. It would be best if President Lu could solve it." Lin Jiji said and looked at the two people in front of her. She wanted to say something but stopped on second thought, looking a little worried. Lu Tingxiao seemed to know what she was thinking, so he added, "Ningxi and I are dating on the premise of marriage. In short, as long as she agrees, I can immediately get married with her. You can rest assured, Miss Lin. Cici promised me that when she stands at the top of the entertainment circle, she will agree to marry me, so please take care of her." The implication was that whether he could marry his wife or not depended on them. Lin Jiji, Xiao Tao. These words undoubtedly shocked Lin Jiji and Xiao Tao, who were beside her. "This is too much pressure, boss." Ning Shi held her forehead, lowered her voice and said to Lu Tingxiao, "That's enough. Don't scare my agent and assistant anymore." Seeing that his wife was about to explode, Lu Tingxiao finally stopped. "Okay." Lin Jiji and Xiao Tao were very tactful and didn't stay for long. After exchanging a few pleasantries, they quickly left. Ning Shi had a stomach full of questions to ask Lu Tingxiao, so after Lin Jiji and Xiao Tao left, she hurriedly turned to Lu Tingxiao and said, "Well, Lu, in the end, as soon as she opened her mouth, she was sealed by a scorching kiss. Unlike the forbearance and comforting kiss earlier, at this moment, the man held her waist and held her head with his large palm, ravaging her mouth unscrupulously. Ning Shi felt that there was less and less air in her chest. She felt dizzy and her tongue was numb from being sucked, as if her soul was about to be devoured. Suddenly feeling a pain on her lips, Ning Shi subconsciously protested. Only then did the man's movements become slightly lighter, but it was only for a moment before he quickly increased his strength uncontrollably. Lu Tingxiao's actions today were indeed a little abnormal. No matter how urgent the situation was, according to his personality, he should have discussed it with her first instead of suddenly exposing it in front of Lin Jiji. Moreover, the moment Lin Jiji and Xiao Tao left, Ningxi could clearly feel Lu Tingxiao's deliberately suppressed gloominess, ruthlessness, and a strong irritation that was similar to the uneasiness that had been caused by Lu Tingxiao suddenly burst out and wreaked havoc in this cramped room. Did something happen? Chapter 1645. Ningxi was thinking dizzily when she was suddenly lifted into the air. The next second, she was carried to the narrow wooden bed in the room. The quality of the small wooden bed wasn't very good. It immediately made an ambiguous creaking sound. Ningxi didn't have time to think too much. Hot kisses fell on her again, lingering on her sensitive earlobes, collarbone, chest. His hot big palms also followed into her clothes, causing waves of tremors wherever they went. However, the slightest movement would cause the small wooden bed to sway like a small boat in a raging storm, as if it was about to fall apart. Ningxi's nerves were strained by the squeaking sounds. She panted slightly and said, "Holy shit, this little bed, sweetheart. Can I discuss something with you? We might as well go out and find a cornfield to roll in." Lu Tingxiao stopped what he was doing and bit the tender flesh on the girl's chest. "Nonsense. I'm serious." Being interrupted by Ningxi, the man's violent and out-of-control aura eased a little. He tightened his arms and held the girl in his arms. Ningxi held the man's arm and put her little head on his chest. "Lu Tingxiao, what happened?" The man's voice was low. "Nothing. I miss you." Ningxi thought for a while. They hadn't seen each other for a long time because of this movie. His answer didn't seem to be wrong, but she somehow felt that there was something else. "Then, you just told Sister Gigi that what happened today had something to do with you. What did you mean?" Ningxi asked again. Lu Tingxiao's face froze. "I'm not sure yet, but you just need to focus on earning the dowry. Leave this matter to me." Ningxi. Focus on earning the dowry. The man stared at the girl in front of him, his eyes full of darkness, and his broad palm gently held the girl's waist. "Xiaoxi, huh? Have you ever regretted it?" The man's voice was hoarse. "Regret? Regret what?" Ningxi was puzzled. "To be with me." Ningxi's eyes widened and she said without hesitation, "How could that be? This is the wisest decision I've ever made in my life. Marry one and get one for free. I don't want it to be too profitable." Lu Tingxiao sighed and held the girl's head in his arms. "It's late. Go to sleep. Don't think too much. I'm here. I'll stay with you for a while. We'll leave before dawn." And Ningxi rubbed against the man's chest and nodded. Because of Lu Tingxiao's appearance, all the unsightly videos and photos on the internet, as well as the malicious words and speculations, suddenly vanished into thin air, turning into a deep sleepiness after exhaustion. The girl clung to his arms like a little animal. She murmured sleepily, "Sweetheart, I like you the most. You're my sunshine." Lu Tingxiao's back suddenly stiffened, and he bent over to plant a kiss on the girl's forehead. The girl beside him had already fallen asleep, but Lu Tingxiao had not slept the entire night. His mind was filled with the video he had just seen not long ago. The video of Ningxi's second audition. That video had brought him to the moment when she had been in despair all those years ago. The scene in his mind changed, and another scene appeared. Lu Tingxiao opened his email on his cell phone and clicked on the attachment in the most recent anonymous email. There were a few photos in the attachment. The first one was the one he had seen when he had helped Ningxi move out of her apartment. In the photo was a group of young people dressed in punk and heavy metal. Ningxi was in the middle wearing a black motorcycle suit. She was dressed in men's clothing, and there was an unrestrained smile on her face. Her arm was casually resting on a man's shoulder, and she was turning her head to talk to him. Her posture made it seem like they were very familiar with each other, and that man was turning his head to light a lighter. In addition to the dim lighting, he could not see his face clearly. He could only see a blurry side profile and a head of white hair. Chapter 1646. There were a few more photos, all of which were of Ning Shi's life in China. Although they were all group photos, and there was no flirtatious action between her and the man, the familiarity and chemistry between the two of them could be clearly seen through the photos. And the last photo was dated on the day of Ning Shi's second audition. In the photo, Ning Shi was lying on the bed, sound asleep. The white-haired man was quietly lying on the edge of the bed, his fingers holding onto the corner of the girl's clothes. He had also fallen asleep. Just yesterday, he had received this anonymous email. The other party had used a virtual IP address, so he could not verify who the sender was. Although none of these photos were explicit, each one was enough to make him lose control of his jealousy. Yes, jealousy, although he did not want to admit it. But all the dark emotions that he had deliberately ignored and suppressed in the depths of his heart were now surging out. Every word that Ning Shi had said at that time wreaked havoc in his blood, tearing at every nerve in his body. Lu Tingxiao, actually, I told you from the beginning that I already have someone I like. Very. I like him very much. Although for some reason I can't be with him, he will be in my heart for the rest of his life. No one can replace him, and there is no space for him. No matter how good he is, no matter how perfect he can't be with me. Do you understand? The image on the phone changed. Suddenly, a phone call came in, interrupting his thoughts. The dark expression on Lu Tingxiao's face receded like the tide. He picked up the phone quietly, walked to the back of the house and answered the call. Hello? Boss, we've caught the mole. That guy almost committed suicide. Fortunately, you warned us in advance. And now we've successfully captured him. Got it. I'll come back tomorrow and interrogate him personally. Yes. Lu Tingxiao hung up the phone, a cold, murderous glint flashing in his eyes. The photos in the anonymous email were definitely not something an ordinary person could get their hands on. No matter who the other party was, he had achieved his goal. Even if he knew that the other party had deliberately sent those photos to intensify the conflict between him and that person. Late at night, in a villa in the suburbs of the capital, Chao Yi slammed the table and stood up. His face was filled with terrifying anger. What did you say? The Black Dragon has been discovered and is now under the control of Lu Tingxiao's men. The subordinate replied in a trembling voice. Trash. The man's face was unusually gloomy. Have you sent anyone over yet? The underling's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. They went, but we didn't find anything. She had already been transferred. Even if we found her, we probably wouldn't be able to save her. The security is too tight. Of course, Chao Yi knew this. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so angry. Black Dragon was the code name of one of their informants in Lu Enterprises. He was their deepest chess piece. At present, he had a very high status in Lu Enterprises and provided them with countless important information. However, at the same time, Black Dragon also knew countless secrets on their side. Once the Black Dragon fell into Lu Tingxiao's hands, the consequences would be unimaginable. No, I must think of a way to save him. If I can't save him, I must kill him before he opens his mouth. Chao Yi paced back and forth in the room. Go get Xiao Xiao. Tell her to stop her mission and come back immediately. Yes. The subordinate hurriedly accepted the order and retreated. At this moment, a lazy voice came from the door. It's just a waste of effort. Chao Yi looked at the newcomer. Chapter 1647. It's already in Lu Tingxiao's mouth. Do you think you can get it out? Yun Xin said slowly with a sarcastic look on his face. Chao Yi frowned. But we can't let the Black Dragon fall into Lu Tingxiao's hands. He knows too much about us. The man raised his eyebrows nonchalantly. So what? Chao Yi warned him. Shun, don't underestimate him. Lu Tingxiao is not easy to deal with. The man smiled and his eyes flashed with excitement. Ha! What's the point if he's easy to deal with? Chao Yi's tone suddenly became stern. Shen, you can play as much as you like, but this isn't for you to play around with. Don't forget how your mother died and how the Yun family was destroyed. What does the destruction of the Yun family have to do with me? The man's voice suddenly turned cold. Xiao Yi was stunned. Okay, let's not talk about the Yun family. We'll talk about your mother. Shun, don't let your mother die in vain. Uncle Qiao, you don't have to remind me. I see her dying in front of me every night. Are you satisfied with this answer? Shun, I know you're in pain, but you have to remember that it was the Lu family that gave you all this. 5 in the morning. The village was quiet and everyone in the crew was still asleep, except for Lin Jiji and Xiao Tao, who had been too scared to sleep the whole night. With a slight creaking sound, Lu Tingxiao got up and put on his clothes. He was about to get out of bed when a pair of soft arms wrapped around his waist. Where are you going? Lu Tingxiao turned around and kissed the girl's lips. I have to go. Ning, she had not woken up at all. She subconsciously shook her head. No, I don't want you to go. Be good. I'll get up and send you off. No, sleep a little longer. Today's filming is very important. Don't delay it. Lu Tingxiao said gently. Unexpectedly, the girl seemed to have heard some heartless words. She suddenly muttered, You only know how to make me earn the dowry. You don't even love me anymore. Lu Tingxiao looked helpless, but the indulgence between his eyebrows was almost melting. I'll stay with you for a while, okay? The girl was satisfied and went back to sleep. After lying down with her for a while and coaxing and kissing, Lu Tingxiao finally left smoothly. If he waited any longer, he wouldn't be able to leave when everyone else woke up. Lu Tingxiao gently closed the door. Just as he walked to the door, he unexpectedly bumped into someone. Song Lin. Seeing him coming out of Ningxi's room, the other party was not as shocked as he had expected. He just raised his eyebrows slightly. Boss Lu, what a coincidence. Before Lu Tingxiao could speak, Song Lin smiled and said, Don't worry, I'll keep it a secret. Thank you, Xiaoxi. Thank you for taking care of me. Because the person in front of him was his wife's idol, Lu Tingxiao was very polite. You're welcome, President Lu. I've always liked this girl, but I didn't expect that the girl I saw in President Lu's office that day was really Xiaoxi. Song Lin murmured meaningfully. Then she looked at Lu Tingxiao and said, President Lu, I have something to talk to you about. When are you free? When I'm free, I'll ask my assistant to inform Miss Song. Song Lin smiled. Okay, then I'll wait for President Lu's news. Chapter 1648. As dawn came, what happened yesterday fermented overnight and now spread all over the internet. An army of internet trolls who always slandered Ning Shi and Jiang Xini, who still harbored resentment, all appeared at this moment. My God, it's amazing. The video is still being updated. So far, there have been 9 people. Is she going to sleep with everyone in the entertainment circle? I really thought she was an inspirational movie queen. I didn't expect her private life to be so promiscuous. Turns out that all her resources were obtained by sleeping with others? I didn't believe it before when there was no evidence, but now there is irrefutable evidence. No wonder Jiang Xini's character was snatched away even though it was already hers. So many people have been exposed. I don't know how many people have been slept with by her. Speaking of which, Ning Shuolua, who was forced out of the entertainment circle by Ning Shi, is so pitiful. No wonder the Ning family would rather have an adopted daughter than a biological daughter. It turns out that she is morally corrupt. Don't talk nonsense before we figure it out. We still don't know who the person in the video is. Enough of someone's internet trolls. Are they all blind? They don't believe it even when there is a picture and the truth. What else do you want? You know who the internet trolls are. You have been driven out of the entertainment circle, but you still hire internet trolls to attack Brother Shi every day. It's enough. If you are really so innocent and noble, why don't you leave the Ning family to prove it? Why don't you have the cheek to enter his company? Why don't you give up the glory and wealth that you have robbed? Her fans were fighting for her. Ning Shi couldn't do nothing. Since Lu Tingxiao had promised, he must have a way. Ning she discussed with Lin Jiji and then posted a simple message on Weibo. The person in the video is not me. Thank you for your trust. As soon as Ning Shi's Weibo post came out, the fans immediately felt like they had a backbone. Their fighting spirit soared and they worked harder to fight against the haters. As long as she said it, they would believe it. Ning Shi was moved to see her fans spontaneously explaining and unswervingly believing in her. I used to envy Jiang Mai. I didn't expect that one day I would have so many fans supporting me. Hearing Ning Shi mention Jiang Mai, Lin Jiji suddenly understood something. No wonder. No wonder with Jiang Mai's personality. He was willing to withdraw. After sending that message, Ning Shi went to the shooting location. As soon as she arrived at the scene, the staff gathered in groups of 3 to 5 all looked at her in unison. Ning Shi's expression did not change as she said good morning to everyone, and then walked in front of Jiang Xingzhou. Jiang Xingzhou acted as if nothing had happened. He calmly began to talk to Ning Shi about the script. Seeing Ning Shi's magnanimous performance and the director's attitude, the others had more or less believed Ning Shi. After all, they had been working together for quite some time. They had all seen this girl's diligence and hard work. Therefore, most of the staff chose to remain neutral, and some people who were familiar with Ning Shi didn't care that they would be implicated and directly logged into Weibo to express their opinions. I believe that the person in the video is definitely not Ning Shi. It's nonsense to say that Ning Shi became famous by sleeping with people in the entertainment industry, because with her ability, she doesn't need to. Chapter 1649. If they wanted to prove that Ning Shi got the position by selling herself, they had to prove that the resources Ning Shi got weren't real. But in fact, since Ning Shi's debut, every advertisement, endorsement, and movie had been completed exceptionally well. However, the netizens didn't stop there. They started to say that Ning Shi was born to flirt with men and that she had a problem with her morals even though she was capable. Ning Shi only made a statement on Weibo and didn't release any more evidence. Soon, this kind of public opinion became overwhelming. On the third night, the other party uploaded another video. The man in the video was one of the important investors of Mother. Those who had been attacking Ning Shi were like wolves who saw meat. They started to make a fuss and selectively ignored the fact that even the investors of director Zhang's crew had no right to interfere with the casting. After all, those who wanted to watch a good show wouldn't mind if things got out of hand, so they only chose to watch the most direct and superficial things. However, the twist of events also began with this video. Watching the latest video, Xiao Tao was so anxious that she lost her composure. Brother Shi, is it really going to be okay? It's been 3 days, but there's no news from boss and the evidence is endless. Is boss really going to be okay? Ning Shi was lying on the bed and applying fresh cucumber slices to her face. She said meaningfully, "Baby, how dare you question boss's ability?" Xiao Tao was scared. Brother Shi, I'm not. I'm worried about you and you're making fun of me. What if boss can't handle it? Not only could she not survive in the entertainment industry, but she would also have to bear such a terrible crime for the rest of her life. For a woman, her life would be completely ruined. The other party was so sinister. They obviously wanted to kill Ning Shi. Ning Shi chuckled. There's no what if. Almost as soon as Ning Shi finished speaking, her phone rang. It was Lu Tingxiao. Sweetheart, are you done? Looking at brother Shi, who was usually domineering and cool, but became a little woman in love in a second, Xiao Tao felt that her outlook on life had been impacted. Brother Shi couldn't be talking to boss on the phone, right? Oh my God. Brother Shi actually called boss sweetheart. That was so sweet. Ning Shi turned on the loudspeaker because she wanted to prove her boss's ability. Sure enough, Lu Tingxiao's voice came from the other end of the phone. Yeah. Did you miss me? Xiao Tao. Oh my God. I thought only brother Shi was tired of me, of course, but fortunately, I've been obedient and focused on filming. The progress here is very fast, and I'll be able to go back in a few days. Be good. Xiao Tao personally heard her boss's gentle and frightening tone. It was almost as if he was coaxing a child. No, the main point is the two of you. In such an urgent situation, can't you get down to business first? She was really a eunuch who was worried to death when the emperor was not worried. Xiaoxi, get ready. A press conference will be held at 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. I've already sent the details to Lin Jiji. After being tortured for a long time, Xiao Tao finally heard the key point. Her spirits were immediately lifted. A press conference at 8 p.m. tomorrow? Does that mean boss already has a way to clarify everything? Chapter 1650. Okay. Then I'll ask for a day off from the crew. No need. The press conference will be held in a hotel near your filming location. You can just show up there after work. Well, okay, how could he let all the journalists come to this wilderness to hold a press conference? Boss, you were so awesome. After Ning Shi hung up, Xiao Tao almost jumped up with excitement. She was wrong. She shouldn't have questioned the boss. Ah, brother Shi. The boss is so handsome and considerate. Originally, brother Shi had done nothing wrong. Why should he pay for this matter? Since they, who added fuel to the fire and wished for the world to be in chaos, wanted to get gossip so badly, they could go there themselves. As soon as Lu Tingxiao called Ning Shi, the official Weibo of Shengshi Entertainment issued a notice, saying that there would be a press conference at the Four Seasons Hotel in City D at 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. At that time, they would respond and explain the so-called sleeping with others. With this news, the whole internet was in an uproar. Shengshi Entertainment finally made a public response. Where the press conference would be held was not the point at all. All the invited media rushed to City D without stopping. Ning Shi slept until dawn, and then went to the crew to continue filming as usual. Because the young actors had more scenes today, and the young girls were not experienced enough, and director Jiang was strict, everyone had to do a lot of takes. It was past 7 o'clock when they finished. At the same time, the entrance of the Four Seasons Hotel was surrounded by journalists. Time ticked by, and it was almost 8 o'clock, but there was still no one on Ning Shi's side. The journalists began to whisper, "What's going on? Why hasn't she come yet? Is she playing tricks on us? Could it be that he doesn't dare to come?" Let me tell you, Shengshi Entertainment is completely stubborn. The woman in the video is Ning Shi. There is no doubt about it. Since Ning Shi made her debut, I have been in charge of her news in our newspaper. I know her very well. They can't be mistaken. In fact, I also think that whether it's plastic surgery or natural resemblance, there will be flaws. But the woman in the video, even the mole on her earlobe is exactly the same. How could she be someone else? Exactly? In the midst of the discussion, a white car pulled over. Someone immediately recognized that it was the exclusive car of Shengshi Entertainment. All of a sudden, flashes came one after another, and all the cameras were aimed at that car. Voila! The car door opened and a woman walked out. The woman had a head of naturally curly hair, and she was wearing a red dress that made her skin look like white jade. When she raised her head, an incomparably delicate and beautiful face was revealed. Ning Shi, what do you think of the videos and photos that have been leaked online recently? You posted on Weibo that the person in the video isn't him. Is that true, or are you lying? You said that the person in the video is not you. Do you have any proof? The reporters surrounded the woman like a swarm of locusts. One question after another like a barrage of cannons. The woman's face was deathly pale, and her face was filled with guilt. Such an expression was like a catalyst that made all the reporters even more excited, and they were even more certain that their judgment was correct. Two bodyguards in black and Liang Feixing, the director of the Public Relations Department of Shengshi Entertainment, also got out of the car. Seeing that the woman was surrounded, they didn't react at all, nor did they intend to stop her. Chapter 1651. Of course, the reporters also noticed this, and they immediately realized that Shengshi Entertainment was obviously going to give up on Ning Shi. Ning Shi, are you worthy of so many fans who support you and believe in you? It's too much to be a whore. Are you here to apologize to everyone? Just when the reporters were crazily blocking the entrance of the hotel, they suddenly heard a voice behind them. Excuse me, everyone. It was Ning Shi's assistant, Hu Tao, who spoke. Hearing this familiar voice, the reporters subconsciously turned their heads to look. With one look, everyone was dumbfounded. There were 3 people standing behind them. Xiao Tao, Lin Jiji, and the woman in the middle was that Ning Shi. During the shooting, everyone in the crew had completely returned to rural life, and even after finishing work, they still wore coarse linen clothes. Besides, the shooting was a little late today, so Ning Shi was wearing the clothes she usually wore after finishing work. Her hair was casually braided behind her head, and her skin was darker than before because she had been exposed to the sun for a long time. Looking closely, the skin on her hands was also much rougher, full of tiny scars caused by wheat harvesting and farm work. However, the girl's eyes were abnormally bright and spirited, and her whole body was calm and composed. The first thing that attracted people's attention was her aura, not her appearance and attire. The girl glanced at the reporters on the scene and said calmly and politely, "Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm a little late today." Brother Shi." A female reporter who was squeezed at the back exclaimed excitedly, "Are you blind? This is my brother Shi. Okay?" Ning Shi had an impression of the female reporter who spoke. She was one of Ning Shi's fans and had been fighting on the front line to protect Ning Shi. As expected, she also came this time. Ning Shi looked at the girl and gave her a grateful smile. The female reporter was even more excited. For some reason, she felt that the girl in front of them was still very beautiful even in coarse linen clothes. A person's appearance could be disguised, but her temperament could not be imitated overnight. As soon as Ning Shi appeared, even though she was quite different from her usual appearance, everyone instantly knew and concluded that the woman in front of them was the real Ning Shi. So, the woman who got off the car just now was actually a fake? The reporters turned back to look at the woman they had surrounded earlier, and their jaws almost dropped in shock. There was really someone who looked so much like Ning Shi. Her facial features and even the position of the mole on her earlobe were exactly the same. Could definitely be passed off as the real one. The premise was that the main character did not appear. This time, before the reporters came to their senses and surrounded Ning Shi, the bodyguards and Liang Feixing had personally escorted Ning Shi into the hotel. The imposter was escorted inside by another bodyguard. The conditions of the hotel here were not comparable to the capital. The multifunctional hall was packed, and even the corridors were full of people, but no one complained. Everyone was fully focused on the stage. Everyone looked at the real Ning Shi and then at the fake Ning Shi. It was too much for their eyes to take in. The efficiency of Shengshi Entertainment had always been very fast, and they did not beat around the bush. In addition, the boss had specially told them to solve the problem as soon as possible and let the lady boss go back to rest. Liang Feixing gave a few simple opening remarks, and then asked the staff to turn on the projector behind him. With a click, the big screen lit up, and a report with the name of an internationally renowned plastic surgery hospital appeared on the top. A series of professional plastic surgery terms flashed past, and then suddenly a comparison picture of 2 faces appeared below. One was before and the other was after the plastic surgery. The face after the plastic surgery was Ning Shi's face, and the face before the plastic surgery turned out to be the former top sister of Shengshi Entertainment, Su Yimo. Chapter 1652. When they saw the content on the projector, the small and crowded multipurpose hall became so quiet that they could hear a pin drop. A few seconds later, the reporters recovered from the shock, and the scene was in an uproar. They stared at the fake Ning Shi, and screams rang out incessantly. Oh my God! My eyes are blinded. Isn't the woman in the photo Su Yimo? There's a name on the medical record. It's written in black and white. It's Su Yimo. Wait, let me think about it. What the fuck? This fake Ning Shi was actually Su Yimo's doing plastic surgery? This is like a modern fantasy drama. Back then, Su Yimo used Mrs. Lu's name to run amok in the entertainment industry. She was in the limelight until the real Mrs. Lu appeared. She exposed her on the spot and announced that she already had a girlfriend. After that, Su Yimo disappeared. Everyone thought that Su Yimo had angered Lu Tingxiao and was banned. so they didn't dare to report any news related to Su Yimo. Who would have thought that they would see Su Yimo again in such a shocking situation? Su Yimo, who had disappeared for so long, suddenly looked exactly like Ningxi. It was as if they were carved from the same mold. This was too scary. Miss, are you really Su Yimo? Are all the women in those videos you are? Why did you get plastic surgery to look like Ningxi to frame her? Is it because Ningxi replaced you that you used this method to take revenge on her? There was no need for Liang Feixing to say more. The reporters had already imagined all the causes and effects. Moreover, this reason was completely logical. The only thing they didn't know was that Ningxi was Lu Tingxiao's real girlfriend in a fit of rage. They also didn't know why Su Yimo had plastic surgery to look like Ningxi. Miss Su, please say something. Facing the reporter's relentless questioning, the woman in the red dress's face turned pale. Her body began to tremble violently, as if she had been stripped naked in front of everyone. Liang Feixing frowned slightly and glanced at the woman, sending her a warning and urging look. Only then did the woman finally raise her head. Her exquisite and beautiful face was completely revealed in front of everyone, causing another wave of exclamations. The crowd quietened down and stared at the woman, afraid to miss a word. It was worth it to come all the way to this small place to hold a press conference. Today's news was enough to shake the entire entertainment industry. Ningxi also looked at the woman. Out of her trust in Lu Tingxiao, she didn't ask any questions. She didn't know the woman was Su Yimo until she saw the projector. She stared at the face that looked exactly like her and couldn't describe her feelings. Obviously, she was surprised that Su Yimo could do this, facing the countless pairs of eyes in front of her. The woman subconsciously turned her head and glanced at Ningxi. The girl's skin was rough and her clothes were rustic. Where was the dazzling beauty of the past? This slut, she only relied on her face. Other than that face, what else did she have? And now, for the sake of a few trophies, she actually wasted her only asset. It was simply ridiculous. Chapter 1653. Seeing that the woman was staring at Ningxi without saying a word, the reporters began to urge her to speak. At this time, the woman looked at the crowd and finally spoke. I'm Su Yimo. She knew that since the other party had found her and obtained these things, it was useless for her to deny it. Even though the reporters already knew that she was Su Yimo, they were still shocked when they heard her admit it. It's true. It's really Su Yimo. Is she crazy? Even if Ningxi didn't replace her, it must have been someone else, right? She even went through plastic surgery to frame Ningxi. That's insane. And she slept with so many men under Ningxi's name. Oh my God, my world is shattered. Just when the reporters were about to confirm the whole story, a tall male reporter in the crowd suddenly raised his doubts. Even if she is Su Yimo, it doesn't prove anything, does it? It's her freedom to do whatever she wants with plastic surgery. But it doesn't mean that the woman in the video is her, does it? If you insist, can I also say that Su Yimo was dragged out by Shengshi Entertainment to take the blame for Ningxi? The other reporters looked at each other when they heard the tall reporter's words. This possibility was indeed not impossible. Could it be that Shengshi Entertainment really used her as a scapegoat? Maybe. The two of them look too similar. It's hard to tell the real one from the fake one. The tall reporter smiled smugly and asked deliberately, Miss Su, were you threatened by Shengshi Entertainment? Su Yimo rolled her eyes and shrunk her shoulders without saying a word. She looked scared, but her reaction only confirmed the reporter's words. Liang Feixing's expression didn't change at all. He stared at the reporter coldly, and then two pictures appeared on the projector behind him. One of the pictures was taken from the last video of Ningxi and the investors of the crew of Mother that was exposed on the internet. In the video, there was a phone lying on the bed. The man unintentionally turned on the phone when he moved, and the screen showed the specific date and time. Because the video was very clear, the date and time on the phone could be seen clearly. The second picture was obviously taken from the surveillance video. In the picture, Ningxi was standing at the door. A woman opened the door and was about to invite her in. This woman was actually Song Lin. More importantly, the time on this surveillance video coincided with the time in the previous picture. What did this mean? Anyone who wasn't blind would understand. Could it be that Ningxi knew how to clone herself? Otherwise, how could she appear on the investor's bed and at Song Lin's door at the same time? At this time, I invited Ningxi to visit my home. Who is the person in the video? The sound of footsteps could be heard coming from the door. It was unknown when Song Lin had arrived. Accompanied by the staff, she walked step by step towards the stage in front. Ah, it's Song Lin. It's Teacher Song. Song Lin's status in the entertainment industry was self-evident. No one would doubt what she said. Furthermore, the evidence was conclusive, and Song Lin had personally come out to testify. I knew it. The person in those videos can't be Brother Shi. This time, the truth was finally revealed. Brother Shi has an alibi. Teacher Song's words can't be false. Chapter 1654. The tall reporter's face darkened. So what? There's only one video to prove that she wasn't there? Are you an idiot? As long as there's a video to prove that the person in it isn't Ningxi, then it can prove that this woman is framing Ningxi. Actually, I've been suspicious before. If Ningxi is really the kind of scheming villain you guys say, how could she be so careless when doing these things? Every video was captured and it was so clear, especially her face. Isn't that bullshit? Unless she set it up herself. She plotted for so long, and now she's making a comeback. She's so sinister. Hey, which reporter are you from? Are you Su Yimo's agent? The reporters were all talking at once, and the tall reporter couldn't say a word at all. The tall male reporter saw that the situation was set, so he quietly left the multipurpose room while the reporters were asking Song Lin questions. However, this person thought that no one noticed him, but he didn't know that he was already being watched. As soon as he walked out of the door, two tall and strong bodyguards grabbed him and stuffed him into the car. The press conference was over, and this incident finally came to an end. Su Yimo was in a daze, and her face was ashen. She had never expected such a mistake to occur in the end. Liang Feixing looked at the dumbfounded woman beside him, and a mocking sneer appeared on his face. This woman had released so many videos in one go, thinking that the more evidence she released, the harder it would be for Ningxi to turn the tables. However, she had forgotten that the more information there was, the more flaws there would be. I want to see Mr. Liu. I have something to say to Mr. Liu. Su Yimo suddenly grabbed Liang Feixing's arm and said excitedly. Liang Feixing pulled the woman's arm away in disgust and said coldly, "Do you think you can see President Liu whenever you want? Come on, the boss was a wife-protecting maniac. How could he dare to send this woman to the boss for sleeping with other men with his face? Wasn't that courting death?" Su Yimo said anxiously, "I'm innocent. Someone forced me. Someone forced me to do this. I didn't want to hurt Ningxi. How could I dare touch Mr. Liu's woman?" "Someone forced you? Who?" Liang Feixing immediately asked in a deep voice. I want to see Mr. Liu. I'll only talk to Mr. Liu about this," Su Yimo said firmly. Liang Feixing frowned and glanced at her. He walked to the side and called Lu Tingxiao. A moment later, Liang Feixing returned from the call and said impatiently, "Let's go." Mr. Liu agreed to see me? Su Yimo was overjoyed and followed Liang Feixing into the car. After getting into the car, Su Yimo frantically took out her makeup from her bag and started to touch up her makeup. Her makeup today was an imitation of the one Ning she had worn at the Golden Palms Awards ceremony. Ever since then, Ningxi had gained the title of Red Carpet Queen. Looking at herself in the mirror, Su Yimo slowly revealed a smile that she had practiced thousands of times. Her face was blessed by the heavens, perfect and flawless. But now it was hers. Even Ningxi herself couldn't compare to her. Liang Feixing glanced at the woman through the rearview mirror as he drove. He saw Su Yimo smiling at Ningxi's face. Although that face was extremely beautiful, it gave him a chill. Chapter 1655. inside a private room in a private club. Su Yimo's eyes lit up when she saw the cold and arrogant man. Mr. Liu, cut the crap. Now that you've seen the boss, tell me who's behind this. Liang Feixing urged, afraid that the boss would be unhappy to see her face. I don't know who he is. He contacted me without telling me who he is. But I was really forced to do this. That man also threatened to kill me if I didn't listen to him. He forced me to have plastic surgery and made me do those things to frame Ning Shi. Su Yimo stared at Lu Tingxiao and said that she didn't do it voluntarily. She looked sad and aggrieved, as if she was also a victim. Liang Feixing couldn't help but roll his eyes when he saw the weeping beauty in front of him. Forced? Even if she had someone behind this, it had to be an accomplice, right? This woman obviously wanted Ning Shi to lose her reputation, and she might even want to seduce the boss with her face. She must have had a good time working with the other party. How could the boss not know something that even he could figure out? Only the stupid woman still dared to lie and look at the boss with such a blatant expression. After listening to Su Yimo's explanation, Lu Tingxiao raised his hand and someone quickly came to take Su Yimo out. Su Yimo couldn't believe it. Lu Tingxiao didn't say a word to her or even look her in the eye. Mr. Liu, everything I said is true. Su Yimo's voice disappeared outside the door. Liang Feixing walked closer and said tentatively, Boss, should we use some special methods to get information from her? Lu Tingxiao said, no need. It was obvious that Su Yimo didn't know anything. Since the other party dared to do this, they wouldn't leave any clues behind. Liang Feixing also thought of this and said solemnly, Su Yimo can't get anything out of her, and the reporter said he was paid to do this. What should we do now? Is it possible that Su Yimo directed and acted on her own? There's no one behind this at all. You can go back now. Someone will investigate this, Lu Tingxiao said. Oh, got it. I will focus on taking care of the lady boss. Liang Feixing nodded repeatedly, then said, don't worry, boss. Based on what Su Yimo has done, including framing, slandering, and spreading false information, she'll be locked up in jail for at least 3 to 5 years. Also, her face has recovered to this extent in such a short time. She must have used radical and quick plastic surgery. Her face will be ruined in less than half a year. Let her go, Lu Tingxiao suddenly said. Liang Feixing was dumbfounded. Damn, let her go? Could it be that the boss was soft-hearted because of that face? Pooh, how could the boss be the kind of person who would be blinded by lust? Even if he was blinded by lust, he would only be blinded by the lady boss's beauty. Boss, are you preparing to lure the snake out of its hole? D City. This press conference was probably the easiest one Ning Shi had ever held. She didn't even say a word during the whole process. Sister Lin, thank you so much this time. On the way back, Ning Shi couldn't stop thanking her. Song Lin looked at the girl's grateful little face. Although she didn't put on any makeup and even deliberately exposed herself to the sun for this movie, her skin wasn't in good condition, but she was still cute no matter how you looked at it. Don't thank me. I didn't find the clue. What I did was very easy. I still have to thank you for being willing to help me. So, I still have to thank you. In the entertainment industry, it was better to avoid trouble than trouble. No one was willing to get involved in this kind of thing. Moreover, with Song Lin's status, she could completely stay out of it. Ever since she met Song Lin, she felt that Song Lin took care of her too well. It was to the extent that she was flattered. If she was a man, she would probably want to devote herself to the goddess. Chapter 1656. After the press conference of Shengshi Entertainment, all the related videos disappeared from the internet. Then, Su Yimo's crazy action of plastic surgery and shocking gossip became the topic of everyone's leisure time. It wasn't until Ning Shi's movie was finished that the heat of the news died down. Sister Lin, I can finally go back to the capital. To express my gratitude, I'll treat you to a good meal tomorrow night. The night before the filming was done, Ning Shi immediately went to ask Song Lin out. She hadn't been able to thank her properly because she had to rush the filming schedule. The first thing she did when she was free was to make up for the meal. Song Lin showed a regretful expression. Tomorrow? I have an appointment tomorrow night. Can I do it another day? Of course. I'm fine with any day. Song Lin had just returned to the capital, so there must be a lot of people she wanted to see. She didn't think much about it and agreed. After returning to the room, she called Lu Tingxiao happily. Honey, I'm going home tomorrow. I'll ask Chung Feng to pick you up at the airport. I have an appointment tonight, but I'll try to come back early, Lu Tingxiao said softly. Okay, I got it. Go do what you need to do. The next day, in the imperial capital, at a certain membership-based Chinese private restaurant, Yo, second young master. What brings you here? Wearing an embroidered cheongsam, the lady boss greeted Lu Jingli enthusiastically. I'm treating a few clients to dinner tonight. Help me prepare the private room. Lu Jingli looked like a workaholic. What a coincidence. Your private room is occupied tonight. The lady boss said apologetically. Someone is using it? Who? Lu Jingli frowned. Boss Lu. The lady boss replied. My brother? How is that possible? Lu Jingli looked surprised. Wasn't sister-in-law coming back today? Who was so important to ask his brother out today? And they were eating here. This private restaurant was called Wangjiang Restaurant. There was a private room specially reserved for Lu Enterprises. There would definitely be a seat if they came. Who is my brother? Lu Jingli asked curiously. The lady boss looked a little hesitant upon hearing this. Lu Jingli raised an eyebrow. What else can't you tell me? Of course, the lady boss knew how close the two brothers were. Thinking that there was nothing to hide, she answered, President Lu is meeting Miss Song. Miss Song? Which Miss Song? It's Boss Lu's rumored girlfriend. The lady boss said mysteriously with an expression that said, You don't have to hide it from me. I already know. Lu Jingli raised his eyebrows. Who told you? My sister-in-law's surname is Song. The lady boss was stunned for a moment. Is Mr. Lu's girlfriend not Song Lin? Lu Jingli was speechless. Song Lin? The hole in your brain is too big. I misunderstood. President Lu is meeting Miss Song Lin tonight. I thought, I'm sorry. The lady boss apologized with a smile. Lu Tingxiao's rumored girlfriend had always been a mystery, but many people guessed that it was someone from the entertainment industry. Who else in the entertainment industry would be qualified to attract a man like Lu Tingxiao? Song Lin was the most likely, so when the lady boss saw that Lu Tingxiao was meeting Song Lin tonight, she subconsciously thought that it was Song Lin. She didn't expect it to be her. That was really strange. Who could it be? Chapter 1657. Lu Jingli touched his chin when he heard the lady boss's words. What? My brother is meeting Song Lin tonight? Why did he ask Song Lin out? Recently, Lu Enterprises had been in a fierce struggle with the other side. All the major shareholders were competing to win over Song Lin, who had 5% of Lu Enterprises shares. Was it related to this matter? Thanks, I see. Lu Jingli thought absent-mindedly as he unconsciously walked to the door of the private room. Based on his instincts that were as sharp as a radar, he somehow felt that things might not be that simple tonight at this moment, in the private room. Thank you for your help last time, Miss Song. Lu Tingxiao toasted the person opposite him. Song Lin took a sip of wine and said with a smile, President Lu, you're welcome. I will certainly help Xiaoxi. Hearing this, Lu Tingxiao was slightly stunned. Song Lin continued, Xiaoxi and I hit it off very well. I've always liked her. There are few girls like her in the entertainment industry. She really likes acting. She has such a good appearance. But she is still willing to work hard and always keeps her heart. Even though she has a backer like President Lu, she never uses it. It's really cute, Song Lin said a lot, but Lu Tingxiao just listened quietly from beginning to end without interrupting her. As expected, Song Lin suddenly changed the topic. President Lu, do you know that someone recently offered a high price to buy 5% of Lu Enterprises shares from me? Lu Tingxiao nodded. I know a little. Compared with those who were hard to shake, Song Lin, who was neutral, was naturally the best target for the other party to win over. This was also expected. And this was another reason why he asked Song Lin out today. Outside the private room, Lu Jingli's nerves tightened when he heard this. Oh my god, it was really because of the shares. For some reason, he had a bad premonition. What was going on? I'm struggling. Should I sell the shares or not? Song Lin shook the red wine glass in her hand and said meaningfully. Her hint was very obvious. Your condition. Lu Tingxiao went straight to the point. Since the other party came to him, it meant that there was room for negotiation. In other words, the other party wanted something from him. Outside the door, Lu Jingli was biting his nails nervously. Damn, with this situation, he could already predict what would happen next. After all, there were so many women who wanted to marry into the Lu family that they could twist the entire capital into a ball of yarn. Was Song Lin going to use the shares to threaten her brother? Actually, I'm not interested in money. Acting is just a way to kill time. But recently, I found something I haven't seen for a long time that I really want, Song Lin said as she stared at the man opposite her. What I want is, outside the private room, Lu Jingli was beating his chest and stamping his feet anxiously when he heard this. He was like an ant on a hot pan. Damn. As expected. He had really guessed everything correctly. As expected. This Song Lin also harbored ill intentions towards her brother. The next sentence that Song Lin was going to say would definitely be, I want you, I want Ningxi, Lu Tingxiao, Lu Jingli, who was nicknamed Divine Mathematician. What did Song Lin just say? There must be a problem with the way he eavesdropped. Chapter 1658. The person Song Lin liked was not his brother, but little Cece. The development of this plot was like a wild dog out of control. It was completely out of the ordinary. Lu Jingli stood at the door of the private room in a daze. He looked as if he had been struck by lightning, and his whole body smelled burnt. My little Cece is amazing. He almost wanted to kneel down in front of that girl. He felt so sorry for his brother. There was a full 10 seconds of silence in the private room. She is not an object. The man's face was as cold as frost, and the atmosphere in the private room suddenly sank. This was the result of him suppressing his emotions for Ningxi's sake. President Lu, you understand what I mean? Song Lin looked at him. I completely understand why you chose little Cece. She is indeed too cute and charming, and what you like is just her beautiful appearance. In that case, there should be a more suitable candidate than her in front of you, right? Song Lin was obviously referring to Su Yimo. As for little Cece, she was born for her dream and for all the fans. Not someone's pet or exclusive property. She is not a pet, nor is she an exclusive property, but someone I will spend my life with. Song Lin did not seem to expect to hear such an answer. She looked stunned for a moment and frowned slightly. I think President Lu knows very well that you are not suitable for her at all, and you can't give her what she wants, but I can help her reach the height she most desires in life. At this moment, suddenly, there was a plop. Lu Jingli was too shocked to stand still and fell into the room. Song Lin and Lu Tingxiao's eyes subconsciously looked toward the door. Both Song Lin and his brother's expressions were somewhat indescribable. Lu Jingli got up with a bitter face and scratched his head awkwardly. I was just passing by and accidentally fell in. You guys can continue. After saying that, he disappeared like a wisp of smoke. 5 seconds later, Lu Jingli ran back and poked half of his head in nervously. He coughed softly and said, Ahem. Beauty song. Actually, you're mistaken about one thing. Little Cece's dream is to stand at the top of the entertainment industry, but she's so eager to reach the pinnacle of life. It's all because she wants to marry my brother. After Lu Jingli finished speaking, he slammed the door shut and left, hiding his achievements and fame. Song Lin. Ning Tianxin was about to go abroad, so Ning she took the opportunity to invite her out for dinner. Big sister Tianxin, Wangjiang Restaurant's Chinese dishes are really good. If you go overseas, you won't be able to eat as much good food as our foodie country. You have to eat more tonight. She held Ning Tianxin's arm intimately and sighed. The two sisters were walking inside when they unexpectedly bumped into two people head-on. Lu Tingxiao and her goddess. She was confused when she saw the two of them walking out of a box together. Could it be that the goddess said she had an appointment tonight and the person was Lu Tingxiao? Lu Tingxiao was talking about Sister Lin? She blinked and it took her a long time to react. She hurriedly greeted them. "Boss, Sister Lin, come over for dinner too." Although Ningxi's tone sounded normal, her expression was obviously a little unnatural as she looked at the two of them. Seeing Ningxi's reaction, Lu Tingxiao knew that she might have misunderstood something. He frowned slightly, but it was not convenient for him to explain in this situation. Yes, something came up at the company. Chapter 1659. Oh, I have dinner with Sister Tianxin. Lu Tingxiao ruffled her hair. I'll wait for you. Okay, after that, the two of them walked in their respective directions. Halfway through, she couldn't help but turn back to look at the backs of the two. Although Song Lin was slightly older than Lu Tingxiao, she had taken good care of herself. No one would doubt that she was a young lady in her 20s. However, the aura she exuded was not something an ordinary girl could compare to. Standing next to Lu Tingxiao, it was as if they were two kings standing side by side. That was what she had always wanted, to be able to stand side by side with Lu Tingxiao. She was watching and vaguely seemed to have heard their conversation. "Boss Lu, I'm serious about what I've said today. I hope you can consider it carefully." "No need." She had been absent-minded since she entered the room. Ning Tianxin saw what happened just now and asked worriedly, "Xiaoxi, are you all right? Didn't Mr. Lu say it? We're talking about the company. Don't think too much." She banged her head on the table. "Ouch! How can you do this?" Ning Tianxin was about to persuade her when she said, "My goddess and Mr. Boss are a perfect match, don't you think?" Ning Tianxin was speechless. She didn't expect this at all. She sighed for a while, and then she was so excited that she wanted to roll on the ground. "I feel like my idol has been snatched away." Ning Tianxin didn't know what to say. This girl wasn't worried about Lu Tingxiao being robbed, but worried about Song Lin being robbed. Perhaps it was because in this girl's subconscious, she was certain that no one could snatch Lu Tingxiao away from her. Ning Tianxin had been worried about Ningxi and Lu Tingxiao, but as time went by, she knew that Lu Tingxiao was serious about Ningxi. What moved her the most was their trust in each other. Platinum Palace. Lu Jingli rushed in as soon as Lu Tingxiao got home. On the sofa in the living room, his brother was frowning and pinching his forehead. Lu Jingli sympathized with him. The men who wanted to steal his brother's wife had evolved to such an extent. They were getting more and more vicious. Lu Jingli walked over and sighed. "Brother, it's my fault. I didn't find out Song Lin's background. She hid it so well. Who would have thought that she's so open to both men and women?" At this point, Lu Jingli carefully glanced at his brother and then muttered, "You know, Song Lin has an extraordinary place in little Cece's heart. If this woman can't lay her hands on you, she will directly lay her hands on little Cece. I'm really afraid that little Cece won't be able to control herself." Lu Jingli shivered when he saw his brother's death stare, but he still forced himself to say, "Brother, don't doubt me. I've been in the entertainment industry for a long time, so I know all too well how important an idol is to a fan. Not to mention a boyfriend, even a husband has to step back in front of an idol at a critical moment. All in all, his brother's rival in love this time was really awesome." Chapter 1660. After dinner, She sent Ning Tianxin home and drove to the palace. She had a lot on her mind on the way. She wanted to hug little Bun when she remembered that little Bun was still at the mansion. Thus, She suddenly became like a sunflower without the sun. She threw herself on the sofa with her head down and head down. She didn't know how long she had been in a daze when she heard footsteps behind her. "Why are you lying here?" Ningxi turned around and saw Lu Tingxiao in his pajamas. He seemed to have just taken a shower. Looking up and down at the handsome man in front of her, Ningxi suddenly puffed her cheeks and showed a dissatisfied expression. Lu Tingxiao sat down next to her. "Something's on your mind?" Ningxi nodded. "Yeah." Lu Tingxiao asked, "Because of Song Lin?" Ningxi nodded again. "Yeah." Lu Tingxiao deliberated over his words, thinking about how to broach the subject. "My goddess suddenly became my rival. How am I supposed to face my goddess in the future?" Ningxi complained. Ningxi and Lu Jingli had the same thought at the beginning. They both thought that Song Lin liked Lu Tingxiao. Hearing this, Lu Tingxiao, "Honey, you're thinking too much. Song Lin isn't your rival. She's mine." Ningxi didn't notice Lu Tingxiao's strange expression. She was still feeling sad. But this person was Song Lin, the idol she had always admired. Even she felt that Song Lin was almost perfect and more compatible with Lu Tingxiao than her. Lu Tingxiao sighed when he saw the girl's hesitation. He didn't tell Ningxi the truth. After all, Song Lin was Ningxi's idol. He didn't want to ruin Ningxi's pure and beautiful relationship. Lu Tingxiao said, "It's good that you know. So, you better not get too close to Song Lin in the future." Ningxi felt that Lu Tingxiao was right. She nodded. "I know." After all, their relationship was too awkward. Lu Tingxiao hugged the little girl's frosty eggplant head on his shoulder and continued to coax her. "From today onwards, try to avoid being alone with Song Lin. Understand?" Ningxi, "Okay." Lu Tingxiao continued, "Don't accept her invitation after 10 p.m. Ningxi, "Oh." Lu Tingxiao, "Keep your distance and avoid any physical contact." The corners of Ningxi's mouth twitched slightly. The first two are understandable, but why is this one? We're all women. Isn't it normal for us to hug each other? To avoid any conflicts, Lu Tingxiao casually explained. Ningxi scratched her head. Oh, was that so? Why did she feel that there was something strange about these three requests when they were linked together? Forget it, I won't think about it anymore. Ningxi rolled into Lu Tingxiao's arms, her watery eyes full of desire. Sweetheart, I miss little Bun. Do you have work tomorrow? Lu Tingxiao asked. Ningxi's eyes immediately lit up. No, I'm off tomorrow. Other than sending Sister Tianxin to the airport, there's nothing else. All right, I'll bring Xiao Bao back tomorrow. And when she heard that she could see little Bao, Ningxi instantly forgot all her worries. Chapter 1661. In a private room of a bar in the capital. The woman took out a contract from her bag and put it on the tea table. Then she lit a cigarette and took a drag lazily. Tang Ye's eyes lingered on the contract for a second, and then he reached out to take it. After a quick look, he was surprised to find that the transfer of shares had been signed with a woman's name. Song Lin. Yunshin leaned back on the sofa, holding a glass of red wine in his hand, and glanced at the signed transfer of shares. What's wrong? Miss Song, have you changed your mind? Song Lin unhurriedly spat out a mouthful of smoke. I have no reason to refuse President Yun's offer, do I? Yunshin glanced at the woman opposite him with a faint smile. He certainly didn't believe that she sold the shares to him because of this offer. If she was really tempted by this offer, she wouldn't have waited so long. I didn't expect that. Miss Song is also interested in Mrs. Lu's position. Yunshin's words were explicit. The implication was that Song Lin was going to use the 5% shares to fight for Lu Tingxiao, but she failed. Song Lin raised her eyebrows and said quietly, I do have something I'm interested in, but it's not Lu Tingxiao. Oh? Song Lin seemed to think of something, and her eyes suddenly lit up. President Yun, do you know the little girl beside Lu Tingxiao? Yun Shun's hand that was shaking the wine glass subconsciously paused. Ningxi, I've heard of her. Why? Song Lin tilted her head and chuckled. She's cute. The corner of Yun Shun's mouth twitched. Even Tang Ye's face darkened. Obviously, Neither of them had expected to hear such an answer. Song Lin raised her eyebrows and said, President Yoon can't be such a vulgar person, can he? Yoon Shin's face darkened. He was not interested in Song Lin's sexual orientation, nor did he think it was strange. But the man she liked, he really didn't expect that the reason why Song Lin chose to stand on the same front with him was so incredible. He guessed that Song Lin used the 5% shares to exchange for Ningxi with Lu Tingxiao, but Lu Tingxiao refused, so she turned to him. On one hand, it was because of Lu Tingxiao's rejection. On the other hand, it was probably because he still hadn't given up. The Lu family had long wanted to unite by marriage. The greater the pressure on Lu Enterprises, the more they would urge and speed up this matter. At that time, Lu Tingxiao would marry another woman, and the two would naturally break up. After thinking for a moment, Yoon Shin stretched out his hand. Well, Miss Song, it's a pleasure to cooperate with you. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. There was another saying. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Happy cooperation. Yoon Shin was about to continue to talk about the details of the contract when his phone suddenly rang. Hello? Boss. We've rescued Black Dragon. Rescued? Yoon Shin looked surprised. Got it. I'll be right back. After answering the phone, Yoon Shin looked at the woman in front of him apologetically. I'm sorry. I have something urgent to deal with. I'll talk to you another day. President Yoon, please do as you please. In a garden in the suburbs of Beijing, Yoon Shin and Tang Yi hurried back. What's going on? Who did it? Yoon Shin asked in a deep voice. Even Feng Xiaoxiao failed to get Black Dragon out. How did he get Black Dragon out now? Originally, he had already prepared for the worst, because based on his understanding of Lu Tingxiao, he would never give them any chance to rescue him. Chapter 1662. The man replied hurriedly, I was patrolling at night when I suddenly found someone at the gate. I took a closer look and found that it was Black Dragon. Yoon Shin narrowed his eyes. You mean, Black Dragon appeared at the gate by himself? Yes. Did anyone on our side do it? The man frowned and said in a low voice, at first, I thought it was one of our people, but I checked and found that after you gave the order last time, we gave up the operation. I don't think anyone would act on their own. Boss, do you think Black Dragon escaped on his own? Yoon Shin glanced at him unhurriedly. Ha, escaped on his own? Why don't you try to escape? The man shivered in fear and stopped talking. After all, not only had Feng Xiaoxiao failed to save the Black Dragon, she had almost been imprisoned herself. The Black Dragon had been tormented to the point where he was on his last breath. So how could he have escaped? Where is he? Yoon Shin asked. He's upstairs, but he's still unconscious. Inform me immediately when he wakes up. Yes. Yoon Shin looked at Tang Yi, who had been silent all this while. He leaned over and put his arm on Tang Ye's shoulder. Yi, what are you thinking about? Tang Yi came back to his senses and said thoughtfully, I just feel that this is very strange. It's impossible for Black Dragon to escape on his own. But it's not our people who did it either. What does this mean? Someone is helping us in the dark. Naturally, he had also thought of this. Tang Yi looked at the man who had discovered the Black Dragon. Send someone to check on Lu Tingxiao's reaction. Yes. Soon. The man on the other side sent a message. Boss, Brother Yi, we've asked around. Lu Tingxiao's place was broken into by an unknown person tonight and took away Black Dragon without leaving any traces. Lu Tingxiao's people don't know who did it. I guess they think it's our people. The man replied hurriedly. Broke in by force? Yoon Shin said with a drawl. Tang Ye's expression changed slightly. The place where Black Dragon was imprisoned was full of traps. It didn't just require good martial arts skills. One also needed to know all kinds of ways to crack the traps and extremely rich experience. Someone who could meet all these requirements. Tang Yi said in a low voice, what we can be sure of is that someone is secretly helping us. There are two possibilities for this person's identity. The first possibility is that this person's overall strength is above Xiaoxiao's. Among the people I know, no one would suddenly help us in this matter for no reason. The second possibility is that there's a mole on Lu Tingxiao's side. That's why he was able to smoothly break in and take her away. Yunshin touched his chin. Heh, it's getting more and more interesting. Boss, the black dragon is awake. At this time, someone hurriedly ran over to report. In one of the rooms upstairs. When the man on the bed saw Tang Yi and Yunshin, he immediately struggled to get up. Boss? Brother Yi. Tang Yi reached out and pressed on the man's shoulder. You don't have to get up. Just lie down. I just have something to ask you. Who was the person who saved you? The black dragon was taken aback. Didn't you send someone to save me? You didn't see the person who saved you. Tang Yi frowned. The black dragon tried hard to recall. I remember that I fell asleep, and then someone approached me, but I didn't have time to see who it was before I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was already here. Chapter 1663. Tang Yi and Yunshin exchanged glances but didn't say a word. Soon, Qiao Yi rushed over after hearing the news. What happened? Tang Yi briefly explained the situation to Qiao Yi. Qiao Yi glared at Black Dragon, who was lying on the bed. Black Dragon endured his injuries and hurriedly said, Boss, Uncle Qiao, don't worry. I only gave them some insignificant information. They tried so hard to find out about our underground trading channels. Luckily, I was rescued tonight. Otherwise, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to hold on. They couldn't be blamed for being so nervous. Black Dragon was in Lu Tingxiao's hands and the situation was already tense. If they weren't careful, they would lose everything. If their channels were exposed, all the underground trading would stop and the losses would be devastating. If they didn't stop taking risks, they would be caught red-handed by the Black Cats. As Black Dragon spoke, Feng Xiaoxiao rushed in like a whirlwind. She rolled up her sleeves and shouted, Fuck! Who is this? Are you trying to ruin my business? Little Black. Who rescued you? Even she, the #1 mercenary in the world of mercenaries, couldn't rescue him. How could he be rescued by someone else? If this wasn't ruining her business, what else could it be? Sister Xiao, I was unconscious at the time, so I don't know. Black Dragon smiled bitterly. He didn't forget to comfort Feng Xiaoxiao. They might be a mole in Lu Holdings. Qiao Yi looked at Feng Xiaoxiao with a dark expression. Xiaoxiao, from now on, you don't have to interfere with anything here. You must complete your S-rank mission within a month. Feng Xiaoxiao straightened her back and accepted the order with a tearful expression. Yes, master. Damn it. She would rather die than get rid of that cat in a month. The next morning at the Lu family mansion. What did you say? Lu Chongshan stood up angrily when he heard his subordinate's report. Yan Rui's face was also filled with anxiety. You're saying that Song Lin sold all her shares to those people over there? Yes, the information is accurate. We've already verified it. Does Ting Xiao know? Lu Chongshan asked in a low voice. President Lu is aware. All right, you can leave. Lu Chongshan waved his hand impatiently. After his subordinate left, Lu Chongshan could no longer suppress the anger on his face. This Song Lin, our Lu Corporation has never mistreated her all these years. How could she betray us without a second word? She betrayed us just like that. Actors are indeed heartless. That's right. Yan Rui frowned. I thought Song Lin was a nice person. I didn't expect. Where's Xiao Bao? Are you up yet? We can't wait any longer. Lu Chongshan urged impatiently. Originally, when he found out that Xiao Bao was willing to try to accept those socialites and had been very cooperative during this period of time, he was very gratified. However, as time went by, he realized that although the little fellow was very serious, she was a little too serious. She had spent so much time just selecting the candidates for the preliminary selection that the tea party had yet to officially start. The situation was getting worse and worse. They really couldn't wait any longer. Grandpa! Grandma! At this time, a soft and squishy little bun walked down from upstairs. Chapter 1664. Today, little Bun was dressed extremely adorably. His cheeks were rosy, and he called out, "Grandpa," and "Grandma," in a childish voice. It was enough to melt people's hearts. Even if he asked them to pluck the stars from the sky, they would definitely pluck them for him without hesitation. "Hey! Xiaobao, come to Grandpa." Lu Chongshan's face was full of anger just now, but when he saw his precious grandson, he immediately smiled. "Hug Grandpa." The little boy enthusiastically opened his short arms and walked toward his grandfather. Lu Chongshan was so happy that he didn't know what to do. He quickly hugged the little boy in his arms. Okay. Grandpa, hug. Grandpa, Papa will come to take Xiaobao home later. Xiaobao hasn't been with Papa for a long time. But don't worry, Grandpa. Xiaobao will come back soon to accompany Grandpa. Grandpa, don't miss Xiaobao too much. The little boy coaxed him as if he was coaxing a child, acting like a little adult. Lu Chongshan was extremely comforted. Okay. My Xiaobao is so obedient and filial. Yan Rui was speechless as she looked at her husband's sudden change in attitude. She coughed lightly to remind him. Who was the one who was so anxious just now? But as soon as he saw Xiaobao, he forgot everything. Lu Chongshan finally reacted and coughed slightly awkwardly. He then looked at his precious grandson and asked in an extremely gentle tone, "Xiaobao, have you chosen the name list? You have to make a decision within this month." Xiaobao rolled his eyes. He knew that this was the best he could do and it was time to move on to the next step. Thus, he nodded decisively. Okay, Grandpa, Xiaobao will definitely do it as soon as possible. It will be done in a few days. Lu Chongshan immediately let out a long sigh of relief. That's good. Sigh. His precious grandson was indeed the most obedient and considerate. Xiaobao went to Grandma again and held her hand. He asked seriously, "Grandma, what kind of daughter-in-law do you like?" "Xiaobao will help you choose a daughter-in-law who is the most obedient, sensible, and filial like Xiaobao. Take care of Grandma together with Xiaobao and be filial to Grandma." Hearing this, Yan Rui was so touched that she didn't know what to do. Xiaobao is so obedient. Thank you, my good grandson. Yan Rui and Lu Chongshan were chatting happily with their grandson. When Lu Chongshan saw his son walking in from the corner of his eyes, his face immediately darkened. Lu Chongshan, coming. Lu Tingxiao glanced at his son, who had managed to coax his parents into submission. Okay, I'm here to pick up Xiaobao. Lu Chongshan's expression turned even worse. How could he not know that he was picking up Xiaobao to meet that woman? He just didn't want to make Xiaobao unhappy. You know about what happened to Song Lin? Lu Chongshan asked in a deep voice. I know. Lu Tingxiao's face was expressionless. Lu Chongshan felt as if he had punched cotton. Because he didn't want to talk about this in front of Xiaobao to avoid a quarrel, he didn't continue in the end. Go on. Take care. Goodbye, Grandpa. Goodbye, Grandma. All right. Goodbye, little treasure. Be careful on the road. After getting in the car, Xiaobao immediately switched from a cute and obedient grandson to a noble and elegant state. Where's Mom? Without a doubt, the first thing he asked was his mother. She's at your aunt's place. We'll send her off at the airport later. Lu Tingxiao answered. Yes. Little Bun nodded and didn't say anything else. She buried her head and fiddled with her phone. Who knew what she was fiddling with? Chapter 1665. At the Mo residence. Mo Lingtian was sleeping soundly when he was woken up by the ringing of his phone. He was furious. Who is it? Do you want to die so early in the morning? Fuck. Mo Lingtian, I'm getting married today. Didn't you say you were going to pick up the bride with your brother? Look at the time. A man's angry voice came from the other end of the phone. Mo Lingtian was stunned. He mumbled in a daze, pick up the bride? Fuck, don't tell me you forgot? Mo Lingtian, what's wrong with you recently? You're always absent-minded. You don't come to gatherings or group activities. How can you forget such a big event as my wedding? Stop yelling. I'll be there soon. I'm hanging up. Mo Lingtian hung up the phone. He rubbed his messy hair irritably. He quickly changed his clothes and washed up. Then he rushed downstairs like a gust of wind. In the living room, Mo Jianzhong and Kang Shuhui were having breakfast. Mo Lingtian took a piece of toast. Dad, Mom, I'm not eating breakfast. I have something urgent to do. I have to go now. Kang Shuhui frowned and stopped him. At least eat a few mouthfuls. Where are you going so early in the morning? How's wedding? Mo Lingtian answered casually. Oh, that's right. That kid from the Zhua family is getting married today. Kang Shuhui suddenly remembered. She mumbled in a daze. After a while, she came back to her senses. Then go quickly. Don't be late. Okay. Mo Lingtian answered in a muffled voice and hurried out. When he reached the door, Mo Lingtian's face immediately darkened. In the past, his parents would take turns to nag him for 3 days and 3 nights even if his friends found a girlfriend. They would urge him to find a girlfriend and force him to get married, let alone get married. However, ever since that incident, they never mentioned asking him to find a girlfriend or urging him to get married again. He had never had such peace since he was 20 years old. He was so unaccustomed to it. A woman's murmur appeared in his mind. Lingtian, this is the last thing I can do for you. He knew he owed her too much. However, self-blame and guilt were not love. Mo Lingtian wiped his face and wiped away the messy thoughts in his mind. He started the engine. Imperial Capital Airport. Ningxi hugged the girl in front of her reluctantly. Sister Tianxin, I can't bear to part with you. I'll keep in touch with you. Remember to take good care of yourself. If you need any help, you must tell me. Got it. Also, remember to take the medicine that Annie prescribed for you. Also, the security in foreign countries is not as good as in China. Be especially careful. Don't go out alone at night. Also, seeing that Ningxi didn't stop talking, someone said helplessly, Come on. I'm here. Do you have to worry so much? I guarantee that I will properly settle Tianxin down. You can rest assured. Ningxi hugged Ning Tianxin and glared at Qin Mufeng. You're the one I'm most worried about. Qin Mufeng looked innocently at Lu Tingxiao for help. Lu Tingxiao put his arm around Ningxi's shoulder and patted her reassuringly. Okay, good girl. We don't have much time. Mufeng is very familiar with the airport. I'll ask the assistant of the branch company to pick him up. There won't be any problem. Okay. Ningxi finally let go of Ning Tianxin reluctantly. Sister Tianxin. Goodbye. Xiaobao. Come say goodbye to your aunt. Chapter 1666. Xiaobao walked up to her obediently and said, Auntie, this is the present I prepared for you. The little boy gave her a parting gift. It was a portrait of Ning Tianxin that he had drawn based on the photo his mother had sent him. He even framed it. The little boy rarely drew portraits other than his mama. It was obvious that he liked his aunt very much. Ning Tianxin took it and looked at the little boy with a gentle expression. She squatted down and hugged him. Thank you, Xiaobao. I like it very much. The little boy's body was soft and had a milky fragrance. It made one's eyes water. Ning Tianxin quickly let go of the little boy. Xiaoxi, I'm leaving. You should go back now. Okay. Take care. Ningxi was a little disappointed after seeing Ning Tianxin off. Xiaobao saw his mother was sad and immediately comforted her. Mom, don't be sad. All good things must come to an end. I believe that Auntie will have a new and better start. Ningxi looked at her baby son and smiled. Yes, Xiaobao is right. Qin Mufeng said he was going to China on a business trip. He could go with Ning Tianxin and take care of her on the way. He had already told Ningxi his intentions towards Ning Tianxin, so Ningxi knew that he had an ulterior motive. However, she didn't know if they could be together in the end. If it was possible, Qin Mufeng was indeed a good partner. In the distance, the plane roared as it rose into the sky, gradually moving further and further away until it disappeared. Ning Shi finally looked away and sent a message to her friend's circle. All good things must come to an end. My dear sweetheart, I believe that you will have a new and better start. In a high-end villa area in the capital, a lively wedding was going on. A group of people were laughing and joking. The atmosphere was very warm. Don't go in. Don't go in. Where's the red packet? Give me the red packet. No, it's not enough. Do 100 push-ups first. Wow, you guys are cheating. How can you do 10 push-ups each? Mo Lingtian followed the groomsmen and mingled with the crowd. From time to time, he would come up with some bad ideas. After struggling for a long time, he finally helped his brother enter the door smoothly. Zhua Haoran was one of the libertines in their circle. Usually, he was very playful. At this moment, looking at his wife, he smiled like a fool and clumsily helped the girl put on her shoes. Mo Lingtian stood leaning against the wall, quietly watching the scene in front of him. At this moment, it was so lively, but somehow his heart felt empty. His phone rang from time to time. He casually opened his WeChat moments and scrolled through it. It was all his friends' blessings for Zhua Haoran's wedding, and he casually gave them a few likes. As he continued to scroll down, Mo Lingtian's expression froze in an instant. She devil. All good things must come to an end. My dear sweetheart, may you have a new beginning. She devil was his remark for Ning Shi. Sweetheart? Seeing this word and the meaning of this sentence, Mo Lingtian's expression became inexplicably tense. He hurriedly clicked on the photo below. The accompanying picture was a picture. In the picture, there was an exquisitely framed portrait of a person with a bright and exaggerated style. However, based on the features of the portrait, it was easy to recognize that the person was Ning Tianxin. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.